see you live on Instagram.
Hey guys, welcome to the Kitchen Sink podcast. This is our very first live episode. I have my lovely co-host Carissa here and a special guest, Brooke Ainsley. So we are seeing if I show up on Instagram, and we have a jam-packed show today. So I'm going to go stream live on Facebook real quick. Yay. Hey, Mrs. Welder. Thanks for joining us. We're just getting the whole party started here real quick. Let me go live on our page so that you ladies can watch along. You're more than welcome to join our Zoom room, which is live. You can have your camera off and just come and listen. And the link is in our bio, dream_kitchen_coach. And there we go. We are live on Facebook too. So you can go to our Facebook page, which is Dream Kitchen Coach. All right, guys, we're going to get started and we're good to go. Carissa, on your end?
Yes, I'm just putting the Zoom room link into the.
Yay.
So that people can click on that.
Awesome.
Okay,
Tell your girlfriends. Tell your girlfriends. So we are here the first and third Sunday of every single month for a live show. We still have our regular episodes. But this is our new format to get more connection across the country, talk about kitchens, kitchen design, food, cooking, all my favorite stuff, cats, cocktails. You guys know me, you know the stuff I love talking about. And every once in a while, we'll have a special guest on too. So in the first segment, we're going to interview Brooke about hypnosis for weight loss, or just how to have a very comfortable, satisfied relationship with food and be your natural weight, right? A comfortable weight for your body. So we're going to talk about that. And then in the second segment, we're going to talk about the upcoming episodes. I do my cookbook review of Food Wise. I love this new cookbook by Mia Rigdon. She's down in Southern California. I absolutely love this cookbook. So I'm going to talk about my upcoming episode with that. We're going to talk about some fun episodes that are coming up, and we're going to have electrical week. So I'm going to go over what's going to be included in that, which is basically everything you're going to want to know about lighting in a kitchen, right? Good lighting design in a kitchen. So that's the second segment. All right, guys, so let's jump right into it. Brooke, let us know, how did you become a hypnotist for women, helping them have a great relationship with food?
Well,
right?
It's a big question, Camille, because it started for me. 6 years ago, I was in a completely different field as an events director, a lot of high stress. And at 31 years old, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. Wow. And I was what I call now, I had busy woman syndrome. So I was constantly busy. Yep. Constantly busy, did not know how to slow down, did not know how to really practice self-care. I was a people pleaser. I wasn't setting any boundaries for myself. I found hypnotherapy around that time, and it tapped me into what I call the space between the thoughts. And I started practicing meditation. That's when I started doing more yoga, and I found more balance in my life, and that impacted my body. So I actually spent a year on blood pressure medication and got off of it by using practices like hypnotherapy, meditation. And just a quick caveat, I don't ever suggest anyone get off a medication that they need, but that's how powerful the mind-body connection is. That's how powerful stress is to the body. And that's how I started doing hypnotherapy regularly. And then I started applying it to other areas of my life where I wanted to create change. It's a powerful tool for changing behavior.
Yeah, I love that. So we've all seen someone that, goes on stage and walks like a duck or does some crazy silly thing, which as an introvert, that is like my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Someone humiliating me in public, making me do how does that work? For one, is that real? That's one of my first questions. Is that real? Can you actually make somebody walk like a duck or think they're a shark or something?
Right. So I can't make you do anything you don't want to do. So when you go to one of those shows, there's an element of entertainment, and people who are participating want to be entertained. Okay. So when it comes to therapeutic hypnosis, really all we're doing is hypnosis is a natural state that we all go into daily. It's alpha theta brainwave state. Now here's where the actual shift in behavior comes in. So we have an area of the brain called the reticular activating system. And this part of the brain is like a filter on our perception because we can't possibly take in all of the information in our environment at any given moment. Our brain needs to filter it out and put it into patterns, things that we understand. And it does that based on our beliefs and what's of value to us. So our perception and our behavior is constantly being, our reality is constantly being affected by our beliefs and our, some of our subconscious associations to things, what we believe to be true about who we are. And when we go into a state of hypnosis, the left side of the brain becomes less active. So the critical mind, the part of the mind that acts like that filter that decides what we're going to do, how we're going to behave, what decisions we're going to make, how we're perceiving ourselves and our body and our world, that part of the mind becomes less active. So it gives us access to the subconscious.
Oh, wow.
So it kind of like goes on vacation.
Yes.
Like he just steps
Takes
out of
a
the
lunch break.
He takes a lunch
Takes a
break.
lunch break.
So the other quieter girl can get some time.
Yeah. I like to think of it as like the bouncer to the club.
Oh,
That's great. I
nice.
love that.
Like it decides who gets
The
now
mean
this is
girl steps out of the room.
yes,
This girl gets
exactly.
to talk.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And so
So
then the nice girl, the one that really doesn't, that maybe makes the better choices, but doesn't get to say very much very often.
yeah.
How do you bring like her out of her shell? Right.
With repetition and practice.
Mhm.
So, and that's the thing. So our brains are pre-wired for negativity. It's a survival mechanism. So that part of the brain, we need that. We need the bouncer to the club in order to keep us safe, you know, from a primitive brain standpoint or from a like the cave woman within us. She's constantly scanning the environment for threat, making sure that like we're not eating the poisonous berries, making sure that the kids aren't being eaten by a tiger, right? So that's that survival brain. And so we can actually change our brains by running new neural pathways.
Mhm.
You can actually train the brain to feel better when you practice like things like gratitude, more positive inner self-talk. This is why affirmations are actually really powerful with repetition because
Right.
you're running new neural pathways. And I think a lot of us, I know personally, this idea of like my thoughts have an impact on my body, just or my words have an impact on my beliefs and my worldview. That was like a really foreign concept to me before I started this work. And now I know that the thoughts you think repeated over time, they start to program the critical mind.
Yeah.
And so when you're constantly in the beginning, that negative voice, that's where that's our baseline. We tend to just lean towards negative because it's survival. So we have to practice more positive self-talk that is going to help us actually become the person that we want to become from a behavioral and identity standpoint.
So when you say like positive self-talk, I know a lot of people say that, right? You mean like how to create a tangible behavior that is specific to you or me or Carissa or Rose, right? What is it that I personally want in my life, in my body, in my relationships? I mean, I personally love food. I love cooking. I feel like I have a very good relationship with food in the sense of like, I'm not, I can obviously emotionally eat. Everybody emotionally eats, but I don't have, you know, I'd probably say 15 years ago, I really feel like I have a better relationship with food than I did before. But I know I probably still overeat because it's just human. We eat way more than we need just because we're surrounded by it, right?
Yeah.
So if I wanted to create a tangible, new, small behavior change of like trying to find an actual adequate proportion for my body size, my natural body size, which is like 115 pounds, that's where I should be. And I'm like 180. Okay. So I'm just not my natural weight that I should be. I could create a little program for myself, a little hypnosis for myself, and say that on a daily basis or weekly basis. And you're saying that would help my brain start to create new little behaviors that go toward eating smaller portions or more just natural sizes, like better sizes.
Yeah. So part of it is identity. Like, what are you saying to yourself? I'm the kind of person who, right? If you finish that sentence. And so there's a couple different layers, but I'm the kind of person who tunes in and trusts my body to tell me what it needs. I trust my body. I tune in to my intuition. I feel my full and I
I
stop when I've had enough.
don't just skip right past over that.
Right. So, and when it comes
Yeah.
to like, here's the thing, this
Yeah.
is also 90% of our behaviors are subconscious.
Mhm.
90% of the time, we're just moving through automatic habits, internal self-talk. And simply by becoming aware, we can actually create shift. So this is where like mindfulness eating comes in, where when we actually sit down and think about our food, we've all been conditioned back when we think back to when we were kids, right? Prior to the age of 8, we didn't have that critical area of the mind to kind of discern. That's our logic and our reasoning to say whether or not like we believe something is true. So we were little sponges. And as little kids, a lot of us were taught sugar is a reward.
Mhm.
Sugar gives me satisfaction. You know, we skin our knee and we hurt ourselves, we're crying, and mom says, you know, don't cry, honey. You're so brave. Here, have a
Here's a
cupcake, right?
popsicle or something. Yep.
Yeah. And it's not mom's fault. This is just patterns that have been passed down, right? And so also the only time family all comes together is over big meals, right? Like Thanksgiving and Christmas or holidays where everyone sits and eats a ton. And then someone says to you, here, eat my pie. I made this just for you. If you don't eat it, it's going to hurt my feelings, right? And so we learn these conditions of like, I'm supposed to eat past the point of actually feeling comfortable,
Mhm.
comfortably full. So most people eat to a point where they actually feel uncomfortable. But when you tune back into your body
Yeah.
and you feel you're full, your body will tell you when it's nourished. We're the only animal or mammal or
Whatever we
living
are.
being, whatever mammal
What
in
are
the
we?
world that, right, exactly. What
Yeah.
are we? Are we mammals?
Are we mammals?
Are we animals? Yeah. So anyway, if you look at animals in the wild, there's animals don't overeat.
Yeah.
Like there's no animals overweight in the wild. The only overweight animals are domesticated animals. So humans because we have this like amazing consciousness that we believe that probably a lot of animals don't have. Like we have the ability to think of the past and think of the future and make these decisions. We're the only species that overeats because we do things like add sugar to our foods that cause addictions, and we trick other humans into thinking they want things like Coca-Cola because there's like an addiction factor there, right?
Yeah.
Because of the sugar. And so we've learned to stop listening to our body's signals.
Mhm.
And that's also a learned association in our subconscious mind. As kids, we learn not to feel our bodies or not to pay attention to our emotions or trust our bodies to tell us what we want, right? We ignore the stop eating signal and we go past it.
Yeah.
And so the simple act of tuning in and just saying, I feel my full and I trust my body to tell me when I've had what I need. And when you actually do that, you're like, oh, I actually don't know if I want I can eat half of this plate of pasta and not have the rest.
Yeah.
And when you repeat that to yourself, it becomes an identity. I'm the kind of person who.
So the hypnosis, when you do it, do you have like a small version to get somebody started on doing it? And then is it specific to like me? Is it specific to Carissa? Like, how do you make it so or is it a more generic program that works for everybody? Like, how would somebody get started on, like, if they want to try to integrate this a little bit?
Yeah. So part of what I do when I work with clients one-on-one or through Happy Body Blueprint, there's a protocol. So we work with different aspects of this. The first session, we usually work with the identity aspect and setting an intention. Like, what does it feel like? And what are you saying to yourself? And what are you doing as this version of you? What does that actually entail? And we align with that. So we start with identity, and then we start to break down some of the other things, like, are you getting good sleep? So that we focus on sleep in a session. And then we look at how are you relating to sugar and alcohol? And we start to shed some light on your relationship to that. What are the subconscious associations to sugar? Do you use it as a reward? Are we using it as a way to respond to emotional need? And can we find other ways to respond to emotional needs? So we also do, the different protocol I've created recordings. And the beautiful thing about hypnosis, there's a way of delivering hypnosis that kind of keeps it open-ended so that when you're listening to a recording, you get to fill in your best self-image. right?
Mhm.
So it's a way of delivering that. So when I work with people one-on-one, we establish some of this and I put it into the hypnosis. But then if somebody is moving through Happy Body Blueprint and listening on their own, you get to fill in the blanks of like, what does your outcome look like? How does it feel?
And so would somebody be listening to this every day, like every morning, a couple times throughout the week? Like what sort of makes it effective? Like what do you
Yes.
see is the
So
best?
repetition is key. It's like going to the gym. You're doing a muscle, you're working a muscle, you're doing bicep curls.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I like to challenge people to do a 21-day challenge and to try to listen. At least I tell a lot of my students and clients to listen as they're falling asleep at night because it doesn't take too much time out of their day. Hypnosis is an amazing way to calm the nervous system and transition into sleep. And getting better sleep is actually part of my program.
Yeah.
So you're not taking out a huge chunk of your day. You're not adding too much. It's not like, you're already, everybody's got to
Like
sleep.
10 minutes? Is it like 10
They're
minutes?
20 minutes. There's 20 minutes. So
Okay.
like playing it as you're drifting off to sleep. And if you fall asleep during it, it's okay because hypnosis is that state between awake and asleep. So your subconscious is taking in that information.
So your body kind of your brain goes to bed, sleeping, you go to sleep kind of thinking about this new way of thinking.
Yes.
And then every morning you wake up and your brain's a little bit tweaked, a little bit different thoughts around food or the behaviors you're trying to change. And then over like a month, do you find like when you were doing it yourself in the beginning, was it like, wow, after like a month, like it's interesting. I'm motivated by different things. I'm really not even interested in that ice cream if I had a crappy week, or I don't need a second cocktail, or like that kind of what happens. Like it's sort of a slow shift of behavior.
Yes. And then, so usually in the beginning, you're conditioning the mind to drop into that space. But then after that first month, or you do the 21-day challenge, then it's like, what areas, everybody has different areas that are really deeply ingrained that might be, it's uncovering layers to it. Like, what are the subconscious associations here that you might focus on an area, or you might stick with that one hypnosis that really resonates with you. You use it as needed. And then other areas, I mean, I have some clients that they learn about the subconscious mind. I teach about the theory of mind in my first session with all of my clients. And I am a big fan of education because I love teaching women how to understand how their behavior works and how their mind works and their body, their nervous
Love
system.
education here.
Yeah. So when I teach them, sometimes just like a light bulb goes off, and in one session, I've had clients. I'll share this one client said she's okay if I share her story. Like it was scones for her. Like she couldn't stop with the scones. And then I taught her about the theory of mind, and just, we talked about sugar and how she learned this association. She's using it as a reward. There's nothing wrong with the scone. You can have some of the scone, but also check in with your body, see if you really want it. And after one session, she came in and she's like, Brooke, it's the weirdest thing. I bought a scone and I never ate it. Like, I just didn't want it. It was a habit of getting the scone. And then when I actually checked in, I didn't really want it. And it wasn't. So after one session, a light bulb went off for her. So, but others, there's layers to it. It's not just behavior, it's emotional. What's happening emotionally in your life? So like one of the things that I teach is that when you are emotionally, holistically nourished, food becomes secondary. As a culture, as a human, I think as a human species, we've also developed this like idea that food is like, oh, food brings me joy, food brings me love. And it's okay to have that joy, but you want to be really mindful about, is it a treat or is it a treatment? Because if you're using food to treat anxiety, sadness, all these things, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Guilty.
Same.
So
Guilty. I have both. I love it, and it's a treatment. It's a treatment.
The big mistake that people make, though, is that they think that the slice of cake or the pie or the food is going to solve the emotional issue, and it never does. So you have to do the emotional housekeeping and figure out, where in my life am I not holistically happy and nourishing myself internally? And then the food, you relate to it differently.
Yeah. It's not a crutch. You
Yeah.
like if you want to have the pizza, you know what it is, you know what it's going to do to your body, but it's you're conscious of what's happening. So it's just an
Yeah.
action choice. You just want the pizza and you'll pay
Yeah.
consequences that time, but it's not having pizza every single time, which I love making homemade pizza, but I also recognize it's not the best thing for me.
But also homemade is way better than going out and
Oh,
getting it
good. Yeah, I
probably
never do
where,
takeout.
yeah,
Yeah. It's always,
you're
they
making it with
have us
Whole
go,
Foods, you know?
you're actually down in Southern California, so you could go to this pizza. Do you know Lucadia's Pizza?
I've heard of it. I have been told to go there. I haven't been there yet.
You got to go. So one of my favorite pizzas I make now is because I went down to do a job down south as a kitchen coach. So Charlene, she's probably listening. We are doing her kitchen down there, and so I came across Lucadia Pizza, and they have a pear gorgonzola pizza. It's just a little mini pizza. It's like
That
a
sounds
small
so
pizza,
good.
4 little pieces, and it is phenomenal. And so that's what I make down now at home is that pear gorgonzola pizza. It's got dates, walnuts, arugula, salad on top. Oh my God, it's just amazing. And it's literally small. 4
Yeah.
pizzas, and it's incredible. So that's my favorite pizza right now.
Yeah. But when this is also a shift in thinking, right? Where what's worse than the food itself is the shame and the self-talk around the food. And when you start looking at it, you're like, you're actually eating really delicious whole foods like dates, gorgonzola. Like when you make all of that at home, you're nourishing your body, and how you relate to your food impacts what your food. That's the mind body connection. If you think about your food as this is toxic as you're eating it, this is so bad for me, like the placebo effect is 30% effective, So if you say, okay, I'm about to have this food, I'm eating these delicious whole foods, I'm going to savor each bite, I'm going to think about how it's nourishing my body, and then I'm going to tune in to when I've had enough. Have I had enough?
After 2 pieces instead of 4.
Yeah. And then
I made one every single day for a week and a half.
Okay. Well, balance.
I didn't have any shame around it. It was so good. Now I'm like, I do like one every other week, but you're right. I don't like feel bad when I eat that because it's a really small portion.
Yeah.
But in the past, like 2 years ago, I would have made that for 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you find the balance, right?
Ate something else, right? Like that's not good.
Right.
I was way past being full. Just because.
Well, and part of it too is like setting health comes from consistency and little things that we do every day. So it's setting a schedule for yourself. I'll have that pizza X amount of times this week, and then the other times I'll have something else, right? So, yeah.
That's awesome. So, okay. So it sounds like hypnosis is not weird. It's not crazy. It's not pie in the sky. It's just it's basically a modern way of retraining your brain to have not better, but just more the thoughts that you want to have that's going to create the type of behaviors that'll impact the body that you want to have, that you feel comfortable in. And it's creating new neural pathways because of the repetition of the way you're thinking about something. And it's freeing you from that more critical mean girl. It's getting her to step outside the room for a bit so that you can adjust your track as a person, as a human being, and get closer to the life that you want. So it's very common sense, really. It's very practical.
Yes.
It's what it sounds like. Okay.
It's really about understanding how to work with the mind, slow the mind down, and then be very intentional about what are the things I'm saying to myself? What are my identities? What direction do I want to move in? Is what I'm saying to myself or believing about my choices and my behavior right now sabotaging me? And can I shift that?
Yeah. I like that it gives you, on this show, we're all about control for women, power for women. So I like that it gives me, Carissa, Rose, it gives us all individually power to kind of create something in the direction that we want to go. It's very specific and controllable, like good control, not bad, control, like positive control over our own lives. It sounds like it's also just could be really good just for stress and anxiety and like just calming the sympathetic nervous system, right? Just like lowering our cortisol levels, which I know for me is another reason for my weight gain was just stress. Not so much now because I'm retired now, retired from the more stressful business where I was working, 7 days a week. And I know that did not help because I was constantly managing stress. So I think it would just, that's like a side benefit, is that you just get more relaxed. You feel more comfortable in life.
Absolutely. That's actually one of the first things that people experience. So getting in the state of hypnosis activates parasympathetic systems in the body. So the parasympathetic is your rest and digest. So the whole body is like, oh, we're safe, we're good. It calms down. And so even if you weren't trying to create any other change in your life and you just needed to practice, I like to say that hypnosis is like the gateway drug to meditation. Because it takes the critical mind, and we do what we call eye fascinations. We do some countdowns. So it gives that, like Regina George, the mean girl, right? In your mind, it takes her and it's like, let's give you something else to do. And then we walk her, we confuse her a little bit until she steps into what I call a jacuzzi for the brain.
Oh, nice.
And then everything slows down.
Yeah.
And you tap into that space within where you find safety within. And the more this is where resilience comes in when it comes to stress. Resilience is not never feeling stress again. Resilience is simply being able to hit the off switch more quickly on your fight or flight. So being able to transition out of that fight or flight stimulation. Stress is not a bad thing. We need stress to take action, to move forward. But when we relate to it differently and we learn how to turn it off quicker and come back to that down regulation, that rest and digest. So that is one of the things, like a lot of my clients and students say is, I can't believe how quickly I'm falling asleep now, because a lot of sleep issues come from just this inability to turn off the thinking mind.
That's what I was going to say. Sometimes my brain is just like going, and I just can't get her to relax. Like she's on that treadmill.
Oh, I get it. Well, I'll tell you, when I first tried hypnotherapy, it was such a relief, because I didn't know before that moment that these thoughts that I had, I felt like a prisoner of my thoughts and a prisoner of my busyness. Like I just felt like I needed to constantly be distracted. And this idea that just because I have a thought doesn't mean it's true. That I don't have to, if this thought is making me feel sad or bad, I don't have to believe it. And I can say, no, thank you. And I can shift it. And when you start to learn it's really learning to control the monkey mind, right? When it comes to meditation, in meditation, we call it that monkey mind that's like all over. Learning how to tame that mind, the more you can slow it down, then you can kind of regain a little control and say, okay, I slowed it down. Now, what do I want to change it to say? How do I want to program it?
I like this. It's almost like we're getting a little reboot for our brains. We're getting to create our own little software system for ourselves. Little software.
Love that.
I like this.
Software update. It's great.
It's a software update. I love it.
It's like updating all your apps,
it's an app.
It's
right now you're programmed, and then you decide, okay, I want to pre-program this to align with this other version of me. And it's really powerful work. And and that's where it's interesting what I do, because the outcome usually is feeling good in your body, losing weight, just feeling more in tune. But really we're working on mental health. We're working on lowering stress, lowering anxiety, doing emotional housekeeping, tuning in with your emotions. That's where the intuitive piece comes in. And what happens is we have been taught, many of us have been taught to, like we were saying earlier about not trusting your bodies. It's like, oh no, don't trust your body. Listen to this diet, listen to this program.
This doctor who does
this doctor
listening to you, don't feel.
And we've been told that our bodies can't be trusted, when, especially as women, our intuition is incredible. I mean, and when we start to tune into that and say, you know what, my body knows what I need. It'll tell me when I'm hungry. And when you become aware of all the ways, we're really just unlearning all the ways we've been taught wrong. And you'll never again have to rely on, you might take a little bit from this program or take a little from that diet, or you get to decide though what works for you, what motivates you, and what makes you feel better in your body. you become the boss of your own body
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
your own thoughts.
Yeah. It sounds like it just has, I mean, we were talking about weight loss, and because we all love to cook on this show, but it really sounds like it has so many other benefits of just making you feel really comfortable with yourself, not just physically, but just like mentally feeling satisfied with your life. And like,
Yeah.
if there's something that's, make you, maybe you feel a little lonely, maybe you feel stressed, maybe you feel worried about something, the side benefit is maybe it kind of helps to calm that too, and give you a sense of control and a direction to go in a better, where you just feel better. And then I
Yes.
can imagine the food, you don't need food in the same way, right? It's just a different relationship to it.
Yeah. It's something we haven't really touched on yet is this idea of loving yourself enough to believe that you are worthy of your own care and time.
Mhm.
And this is the big one for a lot of women, is that we're taking care of everybody else. And
Yeah.
we have a belief that taking care of ourselves or self-care is selfish. And when we start to shift that and start to actually treat ourselves the way we would take care of our children,
Yeah.
right? Talk to ourselves the way we would talk to our kids, put food in our body the way we would feed our kids, right? We start
Care,
caring for
attention.
ourselves. Yeah. And when
Yeah.
you start really caring for yourself, every food that you eat, everything you put in your mouth, every exercise you do becomes an act of self-care. And that's when it gets really simple, because you're just asking yourself, did I move with the art of self-care today? Did I eat with the art of self-care today?
Am I
What
taking care of
foods make me
myself?
feel loved for the
Yeah.
long term?
Hmm. Yeah. Like, I have an example of this, a very specific, because it just happened last night. I've been really conscious of, I mean, I cook a lot, but I cook stuff like this, right? Like, I'm not just making ice cream all the time, even though it
Yeah.
does sound like it if you
Yeah.
listen to my show. I like making ice cream. I only eat like
Well,
one scoop.
ice
like
cream
one pot.
sells, it's
But I
not.
just like the variety of ice cream, and it's so satisfying when you make it. But like last night I mean, it was a really busy week. It's a great week. It wasn't a hard week, but it was just a busy week. And so I thought, oh, I'm going to get takeout. I used to get takeout all the time. I rarely get takeout anymore. And so I got takeout. I got BJ's, or no, what's the Australian one?
Outback.
Outback. I got Outback.
Did you get a blooming onion?
No, because
Okay.
it's ginormous. I can't. But I
Love those.
got like a fish. I got steak and shrimp. I got like 5 things. It was ridiculous, right? Because I like variety. And I was never going to eat all that. And my Larry will be home tonight. And then I got this chocolate cake thing, which I don't even like chocolate. Chocolate's not even my thing, but it just looked good. So I got that, and I ate probably half of that, and I ate some of the shrimp and stuff. But I woke up with the biggest headache this morning, right?
Mhm.
I was like, whoa, my body knows I can no longer, I used to eat that all the time. I'm like, I cannot eat that anymore. Even though there wasn't like a lot of sugar, there was sugar probably in the shrimp coating. There was sugar in the sauce. And it was just, I ate way more than I normally would have. And I felt horrible this morning, right? So I got up early, I did my big walk, drank a bunch of water, took a little tiny aspirin. I feel fantastic now. But I was like, there we go. Like, lesson learned.
Yes.
I wasn't even craving it, really. I was like, that's like the last time I'm getting takeout again.
So I want to
was
touch
like,
on
why
that
did I
for a
even
second.
do that?
Yeah. Well, and this is where it comes
Yeah.
back to, remember I was saying about, we have a belief that sugar gives us satisfaction.
Yeah. I was
So
like,
we've just, the marketing, it's been passed down in families, this idea of like sugar will fix it. But really what sugar actually does is gives you fogginess, gives you headaches, gives you jitters. And when you consciously, we're not listing all these bad things to make anyone feel bad about eating sugar, but at a subconscious level, your body wants to move towards what feels good and move away from what feels bad. And when you start to tune into that intuitionally, you could look at the cake and be like, that's going to make me feel bad and I don't really want it.
Yeah.
So that's where the shift comes. The subconscious shift is, I actually don't feel reward from that. Where I satisfaction is the feeling I get when I nourish my body with nutrient dense foods.
Yeah.
That's the mantra.
The homemade ice cream that I made last week, which I haven't shared on the show. It's the key lime pie cheesecake ice
That
cream.
sounds so good.
And what makes it is the goat cheese. You add goat cheese to the ice cream
Yeah.
mix.
Wow.
And it's literally phenomenal. It's mostly tart because I love tart things, and it's real limes and all that, right? And but it's packed with, I mean, it's got the condensed sugar milk in it, right? So it's, but I took like 2 tiny bites of that and I was like, oh my God, phenomenal.
Yeah.
So rich, so tart, like that's all I wanted.
Just enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That
it's
was
made with
literally all
real
I ate.
food.
Yeah.
It's made with real food. That's the other
Yeah.
thing. It's like, that's the balance.
Yeah.
When you're cooking at home and you're making things with real food, you know what? The condensed milk, yeah, there's some sugar, but there's probably some healthy fat in there that helps your body balance your blood sugar as you're eating it. So
Yeah.
you want to think about that too. Like,
And I ate
there's
like a huge
ways-
salad with all these other veggies and
Yeah.
then 2 little tight, but, and I just like making ice cream. I should have been like an ice cream maker. It's so fun to make. I love the ice cream machine and the whole thing. Like I get as much satisfaction as making it as I do with literally, I'm
Yep.
like 1 or 2 bites and I'm like, babe, I'm done. You can have the rest of my bowl. Like it is so fun for me just to make it.
Just to
I'm
make it,
clearly
yeah.
a maker. I
And
like
see,
to-
that's the joy
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
You love to make. I love that that creativity in you. That,
Yeah.
but that's where you find your emotional
construction.
fulfillment.
yeah,
yeah.
you guys can tell that I love
That's
making
cool.
things with my hands. Like,
Can I tell you guys my trick for
Yes.
not ordering takeout?
oh, what is
Yeah.
it?
So I go on DoorDash and I find something that looks really good. And
Yeah.
I think, okay, I want to get that. And then I put it in the cart and then I look at all the fees that it's going to cost in order to get it to my house. And then I decide, you know what? No, I don't need that. And then I don't get it. That actually happened last night.
Yep.
So
We talked late last night too. That's funny.
I really wanted, what is it? Oh, chicken wings.
Yeah.
And like a small order of chicken wings was going to be about $25 after the fees. So I'm like, no, that's fine. And I went downstairs and ate a salad. And then I had Oreos after that. But I mean, at least I didn't do DoorDash.
I love
Yeah.
Oreos too. Yeah.
I gotta say the
I can't keep
DoorDash.
those in my house.
Yeah.
I don't like chocolate, but I like double stuffed Oreos.
Yeah.
Probably because
Yeah.
cream in the middle.
Yeah.
Really the chocolate, right?
Yeah.
I'm more of a toffee person. Hey, Kay. You know, I'm going to see Kay later for our design session.
Brooke, I was going
Okay.
to tell you something that I don't know if this is normal, but there'll be days where I will eat like really healthy and be very mindful about what I'm eating. And then there's other days where I'll just be like, I need a quarter pounder or I need Oreos or something. And I have gotten better at allowing myself to do that, to have those moments and to have those
Yeah.
days and not having that negative self-talk like, oh
Yeah.
God. And that's been
Yeah.
really helpful because then it does make me realize like, okay, I can enjoy this,
Yeah.
but I can also eat
Mhm.
healthy on the other times. I don't,
Yeah. Exactly. Well, you know what's interesting too, a whole other layer of this is women and hormones. When we actually
Mhm.
start to learn about our bodies, hormonally, your body's probably, when you're wanting that quarter pounder, your body's
Yeah.
probably asking for iron.
Yes, exactly.
And so, okay,
And I
your
am iron
body needs
deficient, so
more
that makes
energy.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a way that your body, it's all that check engine light,
Mhm.
and you can tune in with that and start to be like, oh, interesting. If you actually look at like the time of the month that it's happening,
Yeah.
it's another way of really like getting in tune with your inner guidance and saying, okay, my body's asking for something because it needs
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it possible that like, so let's say it's a quarter pounder, which is mostly fat and cheese, right? It is, there's some beef, but it's not like a beef, like a flank steak that you made
Yeah.
yourself at home, right? But is it possible, Brooke, that like the fat part of that, the salt fat part is because your body needs more fat, or is it just, it's that addiction to that salt too, that salt fat connection, which I know as humans, we crave that, right? Like animalistically, that's something that would get us through winter, right? Those,
Mhm.
Mhm.
like,
I
what
mean, so the question, repeat the question for me.
is like the cheesy, salty part of the quarter pounder, is that because your body is looking for more fat? Or is it just because?
Well, there's a lot of things going on there. Your body might be craving a certain thing, but you have to remember also when you're fueling your body, what kind of fat and what kind of meat am I fueling it with?
Mhm.
And a lot of times with faster food, it's usually really processed versions of all of that. And so you're not actually giving yourself you might crave it, but what would be better is if you, like, for example, In-N-Out in California, they actually they have really good meat.
They have the
So,
protein
like,
style too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and protein style. So if you're craving it, I would say, okay, how can I create or get a version of this where I know I'm getting good meat?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So because my body obviously needs it. And so how can I eat this in a way that's a little more balanced where my body's actually going to feel nourished afterwards? Because when it comes to like fast food restaurants, that stuff is so processed that essentially it's just dropping like a think about the process of like taking food and then you grind it all up until it's like not what it started as. It's like a sugar bomb to your system.
Yeah.
So it spikes your blood sugar and then it drops. So like 20 minutes later, you're hungry again. But if
So-
you're eating real cheese and really good meat and
So to be
good
clear,
healthy fat,
you're saying you're pro In-N-Out burger, but con on McDonald's and Burger King. Is that what I'm hearing?
so I will say there's
wanna
a
have a
mantra.
cheeseburger.
There's a mantra that I use. Unwise, better, best.
Okay.
You get to decide every time. And there's
Oh.
better versions. And
That's a
this is
good-
where the balance comes in. You decide, and listen, there's going to come a time when you're driving on, I'm in California, so the 405 or whatever, you're on
Yeah.
a road trip, you got maybe your kids in the back seat and you're on your way to a soccer game, you don't have time. And the only option is McDonald's, right? So
Yeah.
how you relate to your food impacts how you feel. So you order what you order and you decide as you're eating it, I'm going to think about this food nourishing my body. It's the best choice I can make in this moment.
Yeah.
But otherwise, unwise, better, best, can I make a better choice? In-N-Out is known for better meat.
Yeah.
Or like, for example, we have here in Manhattan Meats, we know that the meat we get there is really good. So it's like, well, I love to make a burger at home that tastes the same, but you're getting
Right.
organic grass-fed beef. Maybe you're having like some better cheese. So you're
Okay.
actually putting real whole foods and you're satiating the hunger piece, you're listening to your body and you're getting satisfied, but you're
Yeah.
doing it in a way that's better. So yeah, okay, I would say
Okay,
like
so-
I am more pro In-N-Out. Yeah.
Okay.
I like
got
that.
it. All right. Rose has her hand up. She has a question.
Hi, yes, I do.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the podcasts very much, and I had a question associated more with anxiety. You kind of hit on that a little bit, Brooke. And I'm thinking the food stuff is great, and I share a lot of these food issues, I guess, or whatever, but my daughter is a graduate student, and she is getting bombarded with anxiety all of a sudden that I've never seen before. And it's around the pressure of a graduate program and specifically taking some big credential tests.
Yeah.
And she's like in her head. And
Yeah.
as a mom, you see it, you're like, how can I think you can help.
Yeah. So what
With-
happens there is, so there's two sides of the nervous system. You've got your fight or flight and you have your rest and digest. One shuts the other off. And when we're practicing, when we're constantly in fight or flight mode, which is like busy, we're like, she's probably studying a lot. There could be
Yeah.
other stressors happening in her life. I know a lot. I personally went through like with COVID, there was a death in the family, like all these things add up and our nervous system becomes kind of like it's running so much that we forget how to hit the off switch. And so there are different things you can do to calm the nervous system. I call it going to the calm gym. And one of the things is hypnosis. Yeah.
Well, I
So
think
just practicing hypnosis or going to a yoga class is actually very calming to the nervous system.
she actually works at a gym
Mhm.
and does workouts and is actually a coach because that's kind of her thing and that's her escape.
Yeah.
But she's become paralyzed with fear in taking these exams now.
Yeah. And
So-
that's common. Yeah. It's part of it is, so here's the other thing I like to teach when it comes to being creative or taking an exam. When we're taking in an exam in a state of fight or flight, our brain is not functioning the same. Our brain is in survival mode. And so when we can get ourselves out of fight or flight and into a more calm, creative place, we can tap into our knowledge and we'll perform better. And so this is where like, obviously we need to study for exams, but sometimes we overthink it. And we're like, I need to study and cram, when the most powerful thing you can do is is to rest and calm and spend time in that creative space. The other thing I'll say that I like to teach is that 30 minutes after you wake up in the morning and 30 minutes before you go to sleep at night, we all move through alpha theta brainwave state. We move through a state of hypnosis, and we can set our day. We can start to retrain the brain to be in a more calm place by making that time sacred as a time of practicing calm, not looking at our phones immediately, not checking email, because the critical mind, the bouncer, isn't there to say what information we don't want to accept as true, right?
Well, I think you could help because it is affecting her sleep. And I was listening to
Yeah.
you about the whole sleep thing, and I was like, there's a lot of crossover of things you're talking about that can be used in other areas. So somehow
Totally.
I'm hoping I can have her connect with you.
Yeah,
I'm
I
in
offer-
Southern California,
Love
but
that.
she's in Arizona. So
Great. Yeah, I actually offer a free consultation, so she can email me, and I don't, Camille,
Well,
I'm sure we'll put my
yeah,
information.
yeah.
We'll have Brooke's contact information. In the
Thank you so
show
much.
notes
Thank you for
episode.
allowing me to
Yeah,
ask a question.
of
Camille. I
course.
really appreciate it.
I'd be happy to chat with her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Brooke, thanks for your time. I know she recently got married. They're getting ready for their honeymoon. So
Wow.
we're so
Yeah.
glad that she was able to spend some time with us. We'll have Brooke back on the show, you guys. I can tell everybody's really enjoying this. I am too.
Thanks.
And yeah, thanks for just sharing a little bit about this. I think this has been fascinating. And I know for sure my audience is going to love every bit of this. And you guys, so she has a little like get started mini course that you can take. That's only a couple $100, really inexpensive, fast. I'm going to take it. Carissa's probably going to take it. We will have the link to that. We have a special page set up in the show notes of this podcast episode. We'll also email it to everybody on the list. And then obviously she does one-on-one work, and she also does a lot of virtual training. So it doesn't matter if you're not physically with her. And Brooke, just thanks so much for being here. We've really enjoyed your openness, and this has been really fascinating.
Thank you for having me. I really loved coming on. I can't wait to come back.
Yeah, awesome. All right, guys. So let's move on with the second segment. If anybody needs to take a little potty break, feel free. Now's your chance. Okay, go, Rose. Go take a potty break. I'm not going to take a potty break. I have to stay here. But we've got probably about another 15 minutes or so. I'm going to just talk a little bit more so that we've got some idea of what's coming up on the show. And we've got some questions. Carissa's got, I don't know, 4 or 5 questions there that have been sent into the show. Remember, you guys can join me. You can either text my phone, 707-592-7169. Text in a question. You can email. You can go to our form on our website, kitchenremodelrockstar.com, and you can submit an email that way as well. You can always join us live inside the Zoom room. That link is a perpetual link that's always on our Instagram. So dream_kitchen_coach. You can go to the link in the bio, is that little thing inside our description, and there's a link there to join the Zoom room. You are not required to be on camera. Obviously, I am as the host, but you are not required to be on camera at all. So come in your PJs and tell me your question. And what else am I missing? And we stream it live to the Facebook page. So if you want to just watch our Dream Kitchen Coach page, and we're going to also restream this every single Monday morning. So if you missed it on a Sunday, every other Sunday, you can watch it restreamed on Instagram. Sometimes it looks better than others, but it is there. And it's also restreamed on YouTube the following day. So if you miss us, no worries. All right. So a couple upcoming shows that we've got some ladies over on Instagram, which is great. And I know it's backwards. I cannot figure out how to turn it around. So it's just back. So this is the next episode is Mia Rigdon's Food Wise cookbook. It's great. It just came out last month. It's fantastic. And I cook, I do a cookbook review, and I've cooked so many things out of this. Oh, these turkey lettuce wraps, like this is one. Oh my God,
that looks good.
Oh my God, it's so incredibly flavorful. I could have ate like 30 of those. They're so good and super healthy. I'm trying to think of what I cooked on camera. I've made so many things. Anyways, the next episode is the cookbook review, and I cook, I think I do the salmon niçoise. I think I do this. No, I do white bean and leek soup. I do this one.
Ooh, that looks good.
Super good. Made it like 10 times. So that's the next episode. I know I've been promising it. It actually is coming out this coming week. We also have a fun episode coming up called Horrible Bosses, where I break down, if anybody's ever seen that movie with Jennifer Aniston and Jason Sudeikis, it's hilarious. It's a dark comedy. And I talk about the 10 worst customers I've ever worked with in kitchen design. Okay, so it's fun. It's a little tongue in cheek. It's the real stories, but I just wanted you to know that I literally have seen everything in kitchens. These were the kind of customers you don't want to be. And even if you're not hiring me to help with your cabinets, this will help you to know how to be a better customer with your contractor, right? And they're just kind of funny stories of things that happened to me. So that's called Horrible Bosses. And then we have Electrical Week, which is going to be a fun one. We did Countertop Week. You guys love that whole week of episodes. So we're going to do one around lighting and electrical and everything you can possibly want to know and stuff you don't want to know about how to do fantastic lighting inside a kitchen. It's one of the most important things. It's like when I look at an ugly kitchen, it's literally the first thing I'm thinking is great lighting. So even if you spend $100,000 on kitchen cabinets and you don't change your lighting, they'll still look dark, they'll look dingy. Like lighting is so incredibly important. Like how else would I describe it? It's just really important. So with that in mind, I'm going to give you guys two little, awesome. Brenda's jumping in the room. Hey, Brenda, come on in. I'm going to give you two little things to know about that's kind of fun that's coming up. And that'll be 5 full days of episodes. Hey, Brenda, thanks for joining. And my husband, Larry Finan, the Mr. Camille, will be here, who is a master electrician. So that'll be kind of fun to hear us banter back and forth. We've done many, many kitchen remodels together, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kitchens together. And he used to be on a bomb squad in the military for 25 years. So you can imagine how serious he takes electrical. Like really serious. So, but I've learned so much from him and we've had a great time with it. So the two things I'm going to teach you about electrical real quick is, Carissa, do you know what the difference is between a Kelvin and a lumen? And it's a setup. You're probably not going to know. It's related specifically to the type of lighting,
right?
Light. Yeah, the quality of light in a kitchen, a Kelvin and a lumen.
I've heard the terms, but I can't think of what they are at this right now.
Okay, so a Kelvin is the color temperature. It's the actual color temperature of a light versus like mine. See how mine is kind of a warm, natural light because I have a window right here. Yours is a cooler white light. So mine is 2,700 and yours is like 3,000. Sorry. And yours is like 3,000. To you. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. Wow. How can I not figure out how to point to you there? So the best Kelvin temperature in a kitchen is 2,700. We call it 27K. And that is the actual like color temperature, the warmth of the kitchen. 3,000 is too bright. It's like a hospital. And 5,000 is really like a hospital. So we'll talk all about that with Larry. And then the other one is a lumen. A lumen is the actual like amount of light that comes from the cone. It's the actual like amount of luminosity that comes, the strength of the light. So between the color temperature and the strength of the light, we're like blending those two to have a perfect, even, natural, bright, cheery light in a kitchen. And so there's a real art to that, like how close do you put the cans together, how far away apart from the wall, how close are they over the cabinetry, what's the color temperature. So there's a real knack to making that look great. And a lot of contractors don't still really know that, to be honest, a lot of electrical contractors. And so you can do a really important, big, expensive kitchen remodel and the lighting still doesn't look very good. So it's important that you guys know as women, like, how is he planning that out, right? And then I'm going to show you my favorite can light to use. It's like show and tell here today. So this is my favorite light to use for a can light. And you can see how skinny she is.
That's really skinny. Yeah.
Really skinny. So this literally fits up inside the ceiling. And this is the thickness of the sheetrock, this part right here. This is how we're able to actually put these, even if there was a stud here in the ceiling, normally we would have to move this light over.
Yeah.
But with these lights, this can be literally in the middle of the stud and we can still put this in there because this little guy, the transformer, just has to fit inside the hole. This is the thickness of the sheetrock. I know this is for people listening, they're gonna have to go and watch the video. This can be right against the stud. So it makes it so we can do a very uniform pattern on the ceiling.
Yeah.
5 or 6 years ago, we didn't have these. These were these huge cans and they had to fit in the ceiling. So this is called Elite LED lighting. And these are the little clips that once you cut, this holds it up inside the ceiling. And if you notice right here is see the little Kelvin temperature?
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. So you can change it yourself.
Yeah. So this, we used to have to buy different lights,
Mm-hmm.
temperatures, but now you can actually set this to the different Kelvins that you want before you put it in there. So like at the
Is
bottom.
that easy to access if you wanted to change it after you installed it?
Yeah,
Okay,
you
so
just
take
undo
it back
these little
out.
clips, these little things, just
Okay.
just pull it back out. And so this is 2700 is the bottom one right there at the bottom.
Okay.
And like 3000 is like right there. And it gets brighter and brighter and cooler and more hospital-ish the higher the number. So 2700 is almost 100% what we use, Larry and I. So all right, that's what I've got. Okay, questions. I know for all of you that have been on, I can't believe are still on Instagram this whole time.
Do you have any questions in there? Did anybody put any questions in the Instagram?
Oh,
I don't see any.
no, I didn't see any in the Instagram. I was
Okay.
just going to do the ones that you already have.
Okay. All right. So the first question I got was, I'm in the planning stages of my kitchen remodel and originally wanted to do an IKEA kitchen, but then I found your podcast and I'm questioning everything. How are your cabinets different than IKEA, cost-wise, quality, turnaround time, etc.?
Well, that's a big question. Okay, I'm
I
not sure
know.
we're going to get to all that today, but okay. So how are they different? IKEA cabinets are laminate, so they're a plastic like this, right? This little thing is plastic. So it's compressed cardboard wood, like we call it. It's basically shredded sawdust that's compressed, and then a plastic sheet is put over it. It's typically white. That's what we call laminate. I don't build with laminate walls of the cabinets because when moisture gets in there, not if moisture gets in there, when moisture gets in a kitchen, which will always happen, that crushed sawdust that's in the middle, right, puffs up like this, and your cabinets get puffed, the bottom's split, the seams, any moisture that gets in there. So I don't use laminate for the walls of my cabinets. I use pre-finished maple, cabinet grade pre-finished maple ply, which is waterproof. So it has a conversion varnish, clear varnish finish on it. And if water got in one of those tiny joints, my joints are all dadoed together. So a dado is like a little joint and then the cabinet walls fit inside. So they can't actually move and separate. They're like impossible to take apart. So you just, if water gets in there, when water gets in my cabinets, you just wipe it out. That's it basically. So that's one big difference. I only build with 3/4 inch walls. I have an upcoming episode where I show a reface of looks like a very fancy kitchen, a very expensive kitchen, but when you actually take the doors off and you look at the walls of the cabinets, they're just made with literally 1/4 inch pressboard and a picture of wood on it. That's
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so that's why that whole kitchen is just like crumbling. It's falling apart, right? So I don't build with anything less than 3/4 inch wall cabinets. I would never do that. I only do frameless, so I don't do face frame cabinets unless we can do inset cabinets with a face frame, but generally we do frameless. And the reason for that is because we want to maximize the space widthwise. Face frames take up 1.5 inches of space for every frame. And IKEA is frameless. Another big difference is they can't customize colors, door style, shape, widths. We can customize every single piece of it. So the width of it, the height of it, the color, the doors, the finish. They use soft closing slides, but we use Blum soft closing slides, BLUM. So it's the highest type of quality you can use. And it means you can have about 100 to 150 pounds of plates, cups, bowls in the drawers. So they just hold an enormous amount of weight. And most women have never actually even like experienced drawers like that.
Yeah.
And I'd say the other biggest thing is that we change the heights of our drawers to be deeper than what the standard is. And so that's like a system that I created to make it so that, again, because I cook every day, I spent years and years playing with my heights of my drawers to get the maximum perfect, like, ratio, I guess I would say. So I know exactly what will fit in a top drawer, a middle drawer, and a bottom drawer. So there's no like guessing, whereas the
Yeah.
standard is they do the standard sizes.
Mhm.
And so you're not really, even the drawers aren't optimal, but ours are optimal.
Okay.
So there, and there's many more reasons, but lead time 3 weeks to 3 to 4 weeks. You're part of the whole process. It's custom to you. You know what's happening. We teach you how to put it together. We teach you how to install it. Is that answering the question?
That was a great answer.
I know it's a lot to fit in a short amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people that are trying to do IKEA kitchens, and that was one that somebody had actually was asking, I don't
The
know
other
what
thing
to do.
is IKEA, they're constantly out of stock. They're
Yes.
constantly waiting for long periods of time. I mean, their stuff is just, it's a European style, and it's built on a rack system. So you hang things on like a rail. That's another reason I don't like it, is because they don't have inset backs where, it's kind of hard to describe, but basically a cabinet has 4 pieces, right? 2 walls, 2 legs, bottom and a top, and then a back. Our
Mhm.
backs are dadoed in, so it creates an enormous amount of rigidity and strength, whereas theirs are just stapled on, right? The back is stapled on. So there's
Hmm.
no internal strength to those cabinets,
Yeah.
right? They're just waiting to fall apart. Whereas ours are like, you could hang on our cabinets. Like you could get, I get inside of my upper cabinets. I stand inside of my upper cabinet sometimes when I'm installing.
Mhm.
And I mean, like I said, don't be mad at me. I'm not, Brooke, this is not bad self-talk, but it's true. I am chubby for how I used to be. So I'm not like 100 pounds anymore, like I used to be. So, they're just incredibly strong compared to an IKEA cabinet.
Okay. That's a great answer. Another good one is somebody that's seen your content and wants to know, what exactly is a kitchen coach? Do you come to me, and just how does it work?
I just did an episode, I think 2 episodes ago, where I
Mhm.
talked about what a kitchen coach is, but
Yeah.
the rough and dirty is inside my program. I'm one of 6 kitchen coaches. I'm the lead kitchen coach. Sorry, I have a piece of fur in my mouth. And so when you join our program, you get put into a private Facebook group, and lots of women are in there, and they're all going through various stages of remodeling their kitchen. And you get to have a design session with a kitchen coach, and we do a sketch, right? We do your life-size real sketch with real numbers. This one's kind of messy. And we work through all the issues that are in your kitchen really quickly. So you get to really understand what's going to work in your space. We listen to you, which is what most contractors don't do. We listen to every single thing you want to do, and we try our best to make that work. And then we help you either buy cabinets locally. We help you figure out how to get bids, or you can buy cabinets through us if you want. There's no pressure to do either way. And then once you kind of have your whole plan and your budget and your materials all picked out, we help with all that. Then it kind of moves on to the remodeling like phase when you're ready to start. So we help you through that process, finding an electrician, questions you'll have about plumbing, questions you'll have about lighting. So that's what your kitchen coach does basically. And then as far as me personally, some women pay me to fly to where they are and assemble their cabinets and install their cabinets with them, help them, train them on power tools, show them how to do it. It's just a really fun experience. It's a fun way of having like your own personal girl carpenter.
Yeah.
Like show up at your house and in a week put in cabinets, and it looks gorgeous. And you're like, you can be as much a part of that process or not. Some of the women are really excited and don't know how to use their power tools, and I teach them how to do that. They have their kids join, their grandkids join. It's like a whole family situation. And some are more hands off. They just want to watch me do what I do. So that's kind of like another little version of it. Again,
Yeah.
that's not part of the program. That's just like, you can do that if you want to do that. There's no
Yeah.
pressure to do it. Yeah.
Let's see. So this one was, I hate my electric stove top and want to put in a gas range. Is this easy to do? So swapping it out.
Yeah, so it's relative. To put
Yeah.
in a gas range or a gas cooktop, you have to bring gas in. So a gas line, and a plumber is the one to do that.
Mhm.
So if you, easy is relative. Like what I will say is
Yeah.
wherever your gas is coming in your house, it might be like way over by your garage, and the plumber might have to run that pipe up into your ceiling and then down into a wall and then out stubbed out where the stove's going to go. You might already have gas coming into the kitchen somewhere else, and he's just rerouting it. So the expense comes from how far that pipe is.
Yeah.
Like if you have a 4,000 square foot house and like the gas is coming into your garage and it's all the way on the other side of the house, and he has to literally run that gas line because the pipe itself is expensive, right?
Yeah.
That might be $2,500. That might be $3,000 because of literally the length of pipe he has to run. That sounded nasty. If, however, he's maybe going 5 feet, it might be $300.
Okay. So the length matters.
Directly related to, yep, as always,
Okay.
length matters.
That makes sense.
On Sunday, but it's a plumber. You need a licensed plumber. This is definitely not something to have your husband do, or a handyman, or your neighbor, or a friend that you met. This is one of those really dangerous things that you absolutely needs to be done correctly by a licensed plumber.
Okay.
Who understands how to install a gas line, because this is one of those things that will blow up a house if it's not done right.
Okay. So I know you've already talked about countertops in some of the podcast episodes, but this person asks, what is your favorite? So there's a bunch of options available, so they don't know what type they want. Yeah. What's your favorite countertop?
My favorite countertop. It is still quartz, so engineered quartz. And the brand that I personally have in my own kitchen that I like is made by Bedrosians, is a slab yard. They're mostly in California in the West, Midwest and over, but I do believe they have 2 locations on the East Coast. I'm not exactly sure where, but it's called Sequel is the brand. And I like it for the price. I like the range of variations they have with veining, and it's super easy to clean, completely non-porous, affordable, like it just ticks all the boxes for me, basically. So it's engineered quartz, and that's because it's non-porous.
Mm-hmm.
Number one reason, non-stainable, non-porous.
Yeah.
Granites and natural stones are going to always have a lot of porosity to them, and they're easier to scratch. They're still very hard, but depending on the denseness of the actual natural mineral it's made out of, you can have very easy to scratch to harder to scratch. But compared to quartz is still going to always be way harder to scratch, like dragging stuff on it.
Yeah.
And then
Rose, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, then but if you truly want to have a countertop that is almost impervious, to be honest, the only real brand that I think that really holds up to what it claims that it does, because all manufacturers will claim, heat proof, stain proof, they'll all claim that, right? But I've done tons of repairs on countertops, so I actually know what actually happens in a year. Is Decton. Decton is by far probably the strongest material. It is still a quote unquote engineered stone because it's man-made, right?
You talked about that in one of the episodes. Yeah.
I talked about it in Countertop Week.
Yeah.
I'm going to do we have a new Cosentino showroom that's near my house. And so I'm going to do another video, like a live video, where I'm going to walk through and talk about their brands of material. And they are suppliers of Decton.
Okay.
The reason I don't typically suggest it is that it's more than most women need, outside of just a slight trivet and a towel, and you're going to save yourself like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000.
Yeah.
Like me, I'll just use a slight little trivet and a towel and not drag my cast iron across, that's for me. I'm not going to spend another $7,000 to be able to drag my cast iron pot.
Yeah.
But truly, if you want to use your kitchen like that, Decton is the one. It is incredibly strong. I mean, incredibly strong. The other reason is it's harder to find people that can fabricate it, because it's actually hard to fabricate. It's so hard. It's actually hard to cut with our granite tools.
Oh, wow.
You have to have special blades to actually cut it. And it comes in very limited colors. So it's like a dark gray, a dark stone, it's just less. It just looks like Decton. It doesn't look like my counters look like marble. They're not. They're white with little gray, and they look like marble, right? But they're not. And so design wise, I feel like Decton is more of an industrial. It's just not as pretty.
An industrial feel.
It's like an industrial feel. And it's not like it can't be made to look pretty.
Yeah.
But it's just less for the amount of money you're spending.
Yeah.
And the choice of color. The only way I would specify that is if it's somebody that's like running an industrial kit. Well, most of my clients don't want to spend $10,000 on countertops.
Yeah.
Like, you have that. you can spend that. But that's the difference between like, most of our jobs are between, 4 to 5,000, maybe 6,
Mhm.
right? If it's an average kitchen versus 10 to 12 to 15 for Decton, most of our customers just don't have the budget for that, or they just don't
Yeah.
want to spend it on that.
Yeah, you have other things that you probably want to spend it on. That makes sense. Rose has a question for you. She
Yeah,
sent
sorry.
me the message. No, it's okay. It says, I have a fireplace in my kitchen. Do you see
Oh.
that often? Not sure how to include it in the kitchen design. It takes up the wall next to the sliding glass door.
Nice. No, I don't see that. Oh, I'd love to design.
Yeah, I would
that.
like to see that. I want to see
I'd
what
love
it
to
looks
design
like.
that kitchen for you with you. That's really fun. No, I haven't seen that. It's not a pizza oven kitchen.
No, I would love that too, because I'm like, I wish I would have seen what the house was modeled, what the model looked like, because I'd like to see how they incorporated it.
So
You know,
somebody
if-
did this after the fact? It wasn't-
No,
Oh, this is
It- it-
original.
it was original. Yes, it is original.
Yeah.
and
I'm
it's-
like, I don't think
So
I've
my
ever-
back wall is the fireplace and the sliding glass door
Oh,
to
wow.
go outside.
Wow. Okay. But it's close enough to the kitchen that it's basically kind
Oh
of.
yeah,
part of-
it's in the kitchen. My kitchen is a big room, but I'm like, was that supposed to be like a little sitting area?
You're
I mean,
like,
I
yeah,
and I kind of have chairs set around it
right.
that try to make it like a little
That's
bistro. I
really
don't know.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to, yeah, well, join our program. I'd be, your
Yeah.
kitchen- I would do the design of that because
Yes, I would love that because I don't know what to do. I've asked people and they're like, that's interesting. It's cool, but they're
So
not
is
quite
it
sure.
is it big enough that there's enough, well, there must be enough room to have like a seating area and the kitchen.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Does it look weird? Do you feel like it looks weird? or
No,
you don't
Not
like,
really. I guess I'm just so used to it now,
Yeah.
but
Do you
the
not like your-
wall,
do you
the
not like your kitchen?
wall that is on the other side, well, here's the back, and then here, this wall
Yeah.
has nothing on it,
Mm,
like has nothing on it. Like it's just a big wall.
yeah. Do you
which-
like your kitchen or do you not like does the kitchen need to be remodeled?
Oh,
Like-
100%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah,
I
100%.
would
And
probably, just without seeing it, just visual imagining it. I probably would maybe, depending on the brick or the look of the style, I would probably recoat that with like a limestone that matches the kitchen. Like that's probably just without even seeing it at all.
yeah,
I would tie it in design wise, but make it like a breakfast, like a modern breakfast nook. It's not a nook, but I would probably, my guess is it's probably the darker brick, right? The red brick.
it's actually not a brick. It
Okay.
has a tile inset around
Okay,
the mouth of the fireplace. It has a tile, but it looks like the old subway tile, but it's like the bigger tile. And then it's stucco around it. Because I'm in California, so it's got that.
that's right. You're down south too. Okay.
Yeah,
So it doesn't sound like it's ugly though.
no,
Is it-
it's not ugly. I would
Okay.
like to. I would like to change the tile on the inside
Yeah,
inset
so
though.
make it look like it's part of the kitchen is probably what I would do. So use some
Yeah.
details, maybe the mantle, maybe, there could be something that we could add to, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to, when
Yeah.
it's time, send you all the pictures and say help, because it's like this unused space.
Well,
that-
go to our website, go to Kitchen Remodel Rockstar, go through the little free class and you'll get a coupon code to save $200.
Thank you.
I'll make sure that I'm your kitchen coach and we'll make that thing look amazing.
Thank you, Camille.
That'll be super fun. Well, thank you for joining us today. We love.
Yeah. Thank you.
Brenda, do you have a question? And I don't mean to call you out, but, and you're on mute, Brenda, just in case. Or Kay, I'm not sure if Kay, I'm going to see Kay in 2 hours for her second design session.
No, I'm just getting really excited. The more I hear about your cabinets and stuff, it's like, holy crap, I can't wait. I wanted to start
Yes.
scraping my ceilings this morning, and my husband said, you have to make sure it doesn't have asbestos in it first, because he's a chemical officer. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Or at least wear a mask, Kay. At least
Well, I was
wear a
gonna do
mask.
that, but yeah,
I love it. We haven't even started. She's already scraping her ceilings. I love it.
I gotta get started somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. All right, Brenda, do you have I'm not sure if you know you're muted. It's okay if you don't have a question, but I think was that our last question, Brenda? I mean, sorry, Carissa.
Yeah, that was our last question. Mhm.
All right.
Can I
All right,
ask
Brenda.
one more question?
Yes, go ahead, Kate.
Can I tell my sisters about this podcast and stuff? Because my one sister's getting ready to build a house and you had some really good information. Okay.
It's not a secret.
All right, cool beans.
Tell everyone.
All right,
Tell
thank you.
everyone, Kay. Tell everyone.
I have a big mouth. I can do that.
So Kay is a nurse out in Kansas City, near
Oh,
Kansas.
awesome.
And we're designing her kitchen right now. So yeah. All right, ladies. This has been a fantastic show. We went, that was an hour and 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Not too bad. I was feeling like we were here for 2 hours, maybe. I was like, I can be long-winded, but thank you, ladies, for everybody still on Instagram. Thank you so much for listening. We will
Thank you.
rebroadcast. We will rebroadcast this on Instagram tomorrow morning, the actual Zoom room, so you can be watching and listening. And it's obviously on our Facebook page, Dream Kitchen Coach. You can go and watch it right now. And it will be on YouTube tomorrow as well. All right, ladies. Thank you, Brooke, for being here. Thanks for staying so long. Ladies, this was a great first show. So in 2 weeks, we'll be back live again, Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 Eastern. So get your questions in. Remember, text me 707-592-7169. Text me any kitchen questions you have. You can always get the link in our bio on our Instagram. You can join our email list. And if you're just getting started with the kitchen and you're not sure what to do, go over to Kitchen Remodel Rockstar, click on the free class, go through our little training that will automatically put you on our email list, and you'll get the links to the show that way as well. All right, ladies, have a great Sunday. And thanks for joining me. Bye.
Bye.
See you, Kay, in 2 hours.
Bye.
Looking forward to it.